You open your banking app on a Tuesday morning. It is 7:14 a.m. You are standing in line at the coffee shop, the kind of line where you have nothing to do but scroll. Your portfolio balance loads. You look at the number. You have been contributing for 6 years now, putting away every month, watching that balance creep upward, and the number staring back at you is $47,000. Your brain does the math instantly, without you asking it to. 6 years. $47,000. You feel something that is not quite disappointment but lives right next to it. That number is supposed to mean something. It does not feel like it means anything yet. Here's what nobody tells you. That feeling is not a signal that the system is broken. It is a signal that you are exactly where the math says you should be. And the reason most people quit at exactly this stage, the stage where the balance feels insulting compared to the effort, is that nobody showed them what is actually happening underneath the surface of that number. There is a real dollar amount where compounding stops being something you read about and starts being something you feel. And it is not $1 million. It is not even close to $1 million. It is a number that most people never reach, not because they cannot, but because they quit too early. And by the end of this, you will know exactly what that number is, why your brain is wired to make you stop right before you reach it, and what the math actually looks like when you let it run. If you only take one thing from this, make it the last section. Because that is where the reframe happens, and it will change the way you look at every dollar you have saved. Let us start with the psychological trap, because everything else builds on this. Your brain evolved to understand linear progress. You walk a mile, you see the distance change in a straight line. You save $100, your balance goes up by exactly $100. That is the world your brain was built for. Steady, predictable, proportional. You put in effort, you get out a matching reward. The relationship is 1-to-1. Compounding does not work that way. Compounding is exponential, and exponential growth looks like nothing for a very long time. Then suddenly, everything. Not gradually, not slowly accelerating, but flatly, then nearly vertical. The problem is that your brain cannot feel the difference between a flat line that is going nowhere and a flat line that is about to explode. To your brain, both feel like failure. There is a classic riddle that makes this concrete. A lily pad in a pond doubles in size every single day. On day 30, it covers the entire pond. What day was the pond half covered? Day 29. That means on day 28, it was a quarter covered. Day 27, an eighth. For most of those 30 days, if you were watching that pond, you would be convinced nothing significant was happening. Then, in the final 3 days, the entire pond fills. The exponential curve does not look like growth until it is almost done. And most people, watching that pond, would have given up around day 22 and gone home. That is not a character flaw. That is how your brain processes information. You are built for a world of lily pads, not compounding portfolios. Now look at your own savings. The median American retirement account balance, according to Vanguard's 2025 participant data, is $38,176. The average is $148,153. That gap between the median and the average tells you something important. A small number of people have very large balances, and most people are sitting with under $40,000. At a 10% annual return, the historical average of the S&P 500 going back nearly a century, a balance of $38,000 generates roughly $3,800 per year. Not per month, per year. That is about $300 a month. You probably spend more than that on groceries, and your brain looks at that and says, "What is the point? I have been doing this for years and the market is handing me $300 a month. I could find that in a parking lot." That reaction is exactly the trap. And understanding why it is a trap is the first step to surviving the flat years. But I'm not done yet, because the flat years are not just about psychology. There is a specific mathematical reason why the first phase feels so small, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The engine behind compounding is the rule of 72. Divide 72 by your annual return, and you get the number of years it takes your money to double. At 10%, that is 7.2 years. So your money doubles roughly every 7 years. Not if the market cooperates, not if the economy behaves, but based on the historical record of nearly 100 years of data through wars, depressions, crashes, and pandemics. The average holds at 10%. Now, let that play out across 4 doublings. You start with $75,000. After 7.2 years, you have $150,000. That first doubling added $75,000. Then $150,000 becomes $300,000. Adding $150,000, then $300,000 becomes $600,000. Adding $300,000. Then $600,000 becomes $1,200,000. Adding $600,000. That last doubling added more than the first 3 doublings combined. The first 3 together added $75,000 plus $150,000 plus $300,000, which is $525,000. The last one added $600,000 alone. The explosion is not a metaphor. It is arithmetic. But here is what that first doubling actually feels like. You wait more than 7 years to see your portfolio go from $75,000 to $150,000. You look at that and you think, 7 years of contributing, 7 years of not spending that money, and I made $75,000. I could have done that by working a few extra hours a month. What is this even for? And you would be mathematically correct that the dollar amount feels small, but you would be missing the entire point, because that first doubling is the foundation of every subsequent doubling. Without it, you never reach the second. Without the second, you never reach the third. And the third is where the numbers stop feeling like progress and start feeling like acceleration. The fourth is where your brain finally believes it. Most people never experience even one full doubling, not because they could not have, but because they pulled out before the 7 years were up. The Vanguard data shows that the typical participant has been in their plan for only 5 to 6 years. 5 to 6 years. That is not even long enough to complete the first doubling at the historical rate. They leave right at the moment when the math is about to start working visibly in their favor. Now let me show you where the fire actually starts, because this is the part the internet consistently gets wrong, and it has cost millions of people years of wealth building. Most people in this space point to $100,000 as the magic number. The idea that once you hit 6 figures, compounding starts doing the heavy lifting. That narrative is compelling. It is also misleading. At $100,000 earning 10%, you're generating about $10,000 per year in growth. That sounds meaningful. But the typical American household with an employer match is contributing roughly $20,000 per year total between their own savings and the company contribution. So at $100,000, the market is handing you $10,000 and you are putting in $20,000. You are still doing twice as much work as the market. The market is the junior partner. You are still the senior partner. You are still pushing the sled uphill. The real crossover, the point where the market's annual contribution actually exceeds your own, happens higher. Based on the average savings rate and typical employer match, that crossover lands somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000 for most people. At $300,000, the market generates $30,000 per year. Your contributions are $20,000. The market is now outworking you by $10,000 every single year, and that gap grows with every doubling. At $300,000, the market is the senior partner. You are the junior partner. The sled is pulling you. That is the real number. Not $1 million, not even $100,000. Somewhere around $300,000, depending on your exact savings rate, is where compounding stops being a concept and starts being a colleague. And here is the tragedy in the data. Only about 16% of savers ever reach a balance of $250,000 or more, fewer than 1 in 6. The vast majority of people who start saving, who do the right thing, who put in the years, never feel the snowball start to roll. They are still pushing it uphill when they stop. They quit during the invisible decade. Let me show you what the invisible decade actually looks like in practice, because I want you to feel the exact moment where most people walk away. Imagine you start putting away $500 a month into a diversified index fund portfolio, earning the historical average. After 7 years, you have approximately $60,000 to $65,000. You have been doing this through a job change, through a rough market year, through the temptation of a new car, through months when you had to stretch to make the contribution. 7 years, and your balance is $65,000. Your brain does the math and the calculation comes back devastating. 7 years of discipline for $65,000. You could have saved that in less than 2 years without any market exposure. Why am I doing this? So you stop. You pull back. Maybe you do not pull the money out, but you stop contributing as consistently. You start making exceptions. You tell yourself you will ramp back up next year. But here is what you did not see. At that same rate, you would have hit $100,000 around year 9 or 10, and that first full doubling from roughly $50,000 to $100,000 would have pushed your annual market growth from about $5,000 per year to $10,000 per year. Then, at year 12 or 13, your balance would cross $150,000, and the market would be generating $15,000 annually. Then $200,000 at around year 15 or 16, and the market gives you $20,000 a year, which is now exactly matching what you were contributing. You are at the crossover. The sled begins to pull you, but you stopped at year 7. And that is not because you were weak or undisciplined. It is because nobody showed you the timeline before you needed it. Hold on, because there is one more layer here that makes this even more personal. Most people think the solution to the invisible decade is to save more, save harder, earn more, throw bigger numbers at the problem, compress the timeline. And yes, contributing more accelerates the process, but the more powerful variable is not the amount, it is time. And here's the comparison that proves it. Take Naomi. She starts saving $5,000 per year at age 25. She does it consistently for exactly 10 years and then completely stops. Never contributes another dollar after age 35. Her total lifetime contribution is $50,000. Now take Curtis. He starts at 35 10 years after Naomi. He saves the same $5,000 every year for 30 years, all the way until age 65. His total lifetime contribution is $150,000. 3 times what Naomi put in. At age 65, assuming the historical 10% return, Naomi has more money. Her $50,000 contributed early and left alone had 40 years to compound. Her early dollars doubled roughly 4 more times than Curtis's later dollars ever could. She contributed less. She stopped decades earlier. She wins because time beats size and time beats timing, and the only thing that ever beats time is starting even earlier, which you cannot go back and do. The flat years of Naomi's 20s, when her balance was tiny and the growth was invisible, were not the wasted years. They were the most financially powerful years of her life. She just could not feel it at the time. Neither can you right now if you are in them. But that does not make them less real. Now, most people who hear this ask the fair question. What about crashes? What about bad markets? What about the decade where the S&P 500 basically went nowhere? That is a legitimate concern, and it deserves a real answer. The 10% historical average is not a guarantee. It is a long-term average built across a very lumpy road. From January 2000 to December 2009, the S&P 500's total return, including reinvested dividends, was approximately negative 0.95% annualized. That means if you put money in at the start of that decade and never touched it, you had slightly less 10 years later in nominal terms. The decade of the 2000s was only the second time since the 1920s that a full decade produced a negative total return. The other was the 1930s. If you were in the middle of your invisible decade during those years, you would have been contributing faithfully, watching your balance go up and then down and then sideways, and at some point your brain would have decided the whole framework was wrong. Thousands of people reached exactly that conclusion in 2008 and 2009. They pulled out at the bottom. The S&P 500 returned over 15% annualized from 2009 through 2019. The people who panicked and pulled out in 2008 missed the entire recovery. The people who stayed, who kept contributing at lower prices, who let the doubling stack, came out of that decade not just whole, but ahead. The crash was a discount, not a disaster, but only if you had the understanding to hold. There is also the inflation layer. The 10% is nominal. The inflation-adjusted real return of the S&P 500 since 1928 has been approximately 6.8% per year. At that rate, your real purchasing power doubles every 10.6 years, not every 7.2. The explosion is real, but it is partially eaten by inflation. $1 million in 25 years will not buy what $1 million buys today. That is why the crossover number matters in real terms. Not just nominal, but the crossover still happens. The market still becomes the senior partner. The fire still catches. It just takes a little longer in real terms than the nominal math suggests. And here's what I want you to sit with for a moment, because this is the part most people skip over. The flat years are not a flaw in the system. They are the system. You cannot skip them. The mathematics of compounding requires a slow phase before the exponential bend. The lily pad was always going to spend most of its days looking like it was doing nothing. That was never a problem to solve. It was the mechanism. And the people who understood that, who expected the flat years instead of being blindsided by them, were the ones who survived long enough to feel the sled pull. Let me give you the picture of what surviving looks like. Colette is 47 years old. She has $75,000 saved in her retirement account. She has read articles about the $1 million target. She has watched the charts, and she feels like she missed something. She started late, did not save aggressively in her 30s, and now she is looking at $75,000 and measuring it against what she thinks she needs. But here is what Colette is not seeing. She is 4 doublings away from $1.2 million. Her $75,000 becomes $150,000 in about 7.2 years, then $300,000, then $600,000, then $200,000. That last doubling from $600,000 to $200,000 adds $600,000 in a single step. More than she has saved in her entire career. More than she could ever contribute from a paycheck. The first doubling added $75,000. The last adds $600,000. The last jump is larger than the sum of all the previous doublings combined. Colette is not behind. She is on the Launchpad. The Launchpad feels exactly like the flat years. The Launchpad feels like nothing is happening. But the trajectory is already built into the math. And here is the reframe that changes how you look at every dollar you have invested. Stop counting your dollars. Count your doublings. If you have $300,000, you are 2 doublings from $1.2 million. If you have $150,000, you are 3 doublings away. If you have $75,000, you are 4. If you have $37,000, you are 5 doublings from $1.2 million. The goal is not $1 million. The goal is your next doubling. Each doubling takes roughly 7.2 years, but each subsequent one adds more than the previous 3 combined. The clock does not speed up, but the output of each tick grows exponentially. A 28-year-old with $25,000 is about 7 doublings from $3.2 million. A 42-year-old with $150,000 is 3 doublings from $1.2 million in 21 years, which puts them at 63. The older you are with a larger base, the fewer doublings you need because each doubling covers more ground. The math does not punish a late start as harshly as your brain tells you it does. It punishes interrupted doublings more than delayed ones. The voice telling you to quit is loudest right before the bend. That is not a motivational poster. That is the structure of exponential curves. The flat phase does not end gradually. It ends suddenly. And the people who are gone when the bend arrives are the ones who were convinced, based on perfectly reasonable evidence, that the bend was never coming. Most people never experience what happens at $300,000. They never feel the market outpace their contributions. They never feel the sled pull. Not because the math failed them, but because they left during the invisible decade and the math never had the chance to finish what it started. You are probably somewhere in those flat years right now. That is not a condemnation. That is a position on a curve. The curve is still working. The doublings are still stacking underneath the surface of that balance you check every Tuesday morning and close, feeling vaguely disappointed. Stop staring at the $1 million target. It is too far away, and your brain will turn the distance into evidence of failure. Instead, look at your balance right now and ask how many doublings you have left. Then ask yourself what it would cost to interrupt one. Because interrupting one doubling does not just delay your timeline by 7 years, it delays every doubling that would have come after it. The third and fourth doublings, the ones that add $300,000 and $600,000 in a single step, only happen if the first and second complete without interruption. The fire is closer than you think. You just have to stop leaving before it starts. 6 years ago, Colette checked her balance and it was $31,000. She considered stopping. The number felt too small to matter. She kept going. This year, her balance crossed $75,000, and she is 1 year closer to the first full doubling than she was when she almost walked away. She does not know yet what the math has stored up for her, but the math knows, and now you do too. Protect your doublings. The explosion is not a metaphor. It is arithmetic waiting on your patience.